Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for taking the time this morning. It's so good to see partners and potential customers on what has become, fortunately, a regular occurrence, a transatlantic route announcement by Aer Lingus. Probably starting in a place you weren't expecting this morning, but I would like to just reference President de Valera, of all people. When I was moving offices some time ago, came across a letter from President to a predecessor of mine in 1968, and I think it merits reading. But I thought that Ireland was placed in relation to Europe and America in a very favourable position, and that we should attempt to make it a sort of terminus for European American air travel. I remember having been told at some time that Cove was in the minds of many as the Atlantic terminus when steamship travel was being developed, but that those who wished Liverpool to be the terminus had got it noised abroad that the entrance to Cork Harbour was dangerous because of sunken rocks, and it was on that account that Liverpool and not Cove was chosen. It was determined that such a thing should not happen in the case of air travel. Well, that's a determination that's shared today by Aer Lingus, and the geographic advantage that was identified back in 1968, and I'm sure a long time before that, is what sustains our business and our opportunity today. I'm very pleased to say that Aer Lingus has never been more competitive than it is today, nor have we ever had more opportunity for growth. And that's a positive not just for Aer Lingus, but we believe for all of our partners, for the airport, and increasingly for Ireland and those who wish to do business or visit Ireland. In the 12 months to the end of the third quarter 2017, Aer Lingus generated a 14.9% lease-adjusted operating margin on a turnover of 1.83 billion, and we carried over 12 million guests across 120 routes. And this has been achieved in one of the most competitive marketplaces. Our return on invested capital is the strongest within IAG, and what gives us the confidence that we can compete successfully for capital within IAG to continue to grow our business. Of most import to us is our Net Promoter Score, or the customer satisfaction of 45 is at an industry high. And that gives us the confidence that what we're doing is not only good for our shareholders and stakeholders, but also good for potential customers, new and existing. As I said, Dublin is a natural gateway between Europe and North America, and that's our unique opportunity because geography and shortest crossing, yes, it means convenience in terms of elapsed trip time, but it also gives us cost advantages. It allows us to use that which we've built over many years, a very strong footprint between Ireland and the UK and Europe, and now increasingly to combine it with new destinations across the North Atlantic to really create market opportunity not just between Ireland and North America, but increasingly between North America and Europe, using Dublin as a gateway. We don't simply rely on geography. We, of course, every day manage our business efficiently, attempt to offer products and services that customers value, and doing so successfully has enabled us to effectively double the size and scale of our transatlantic business in the last 4 years. Today's announcement is a continuation of a journey to build out the opportunity. That opportunity will be resourced. We have an order book, a firm order book for an additional 9 aircraft yet to be delivered. We would hope that those aircraft represent growth opportunity. And beyond those 9 aircraft, we continue to challenge again as to why we should be constrained at this point in time by anything other than the marketplace. So we'll work collectively and collaboratively with all partners to try and make sure that that opportunity for Aer Lingus, for Dublin and for Ireland is fully leveraged. As you know, we currently serve 12 destinations in North America with up to 30 flights daily. We've recently announced the commencement of Philadelphia from next March. And the value model of cost reduction driving price competitive growth is something that is working. It's clearly working, and it's a virtuous circle. The more competitive we become, the more growth opportunities that are delivered to us. The more we can leverage and harness that growth, again, the more competitive we become and the more cost efficient we can become. Ultimately, our stakeholders and our shareholders benefit, but also the customers and guests that we serve also get the benefit of the convenience of direct air travel, which increasingly, particularly in the context of trade between Ireland and North America, is of great benefit to Irish businesses doing business in North America and the array of North American businesses doing business in Ireland. And it's a pleasure to welcome representatives of the American Chamber, but also Microsoft and Tableau, who I'm sure, and I hope, it will be our opportunity to serve in the coming months. So there are over 75 million journeys annually between North America and Europe, and many of which have at least one stop. Our ambition is to grow in that marketplace. We have less than 4% share of that total market. That continues to be the opportunity that we will leverage. We all are aware of the demand for air travel between the island of Ireland and North America. When we can harness that market, in addition to being competitive in the broader European market, then, as I said earlier, we haven't yet put a ceiling on how big collectively and collaboratively our business can become. So Seattle is another step in delivering on that ambition. I'm very pleased to announce that we launch in May 2018 with a 4 times weekly year-round service, operating Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays and Sundays, operated by an A330, which will provide both business class and economy class service, as well as providing significant cargo lift between the West Coast and Dublin. Departs Dublin in the afternoon with a very convenient arrival time in Seattle, early evening, and departs Seattle 1920, again a convenient arrival time into Dublin with prices from $259. Hopefully those prices won't last too long, but nevertheless. The arrival time of 12:30 is important because it allows us to offer the afternoon services throughout Europe as connection options. So increasingly the offering when we launch in Seattle, which we will have a similar event, is not just that we're launching service to Dublin, but we're actually launching service with convenient one-stop transit through Dublin to, at this point, 24 connections. And those connections are material and relevant, and Seattle being relatively underserved with direct service to Europe, we believe that the Aer Lingus and the Dublin proposition is a compelling proposition, particularly when combined with the advantage of the US Customs and Border Protection Facility when customers are travelling in a westerly direction. The introduction of Seattle brings to 15 the number of routes that we will operate in 2018, and it brings to 13 the number of routes, the number of destinations served directly from the Dublin Gateway. So hopefully you can see the scale of our ambition that has been communicated in recent years actually now coming to fruition. And that's not the end of the ambition, as I said. We have a number of additional A330s to deliver, one in the coming weeks, which will be pressed into service in the first quarter of 2018. And in addition, we have an order book currently for 8 A321LRs. And A321LRs are a narrow body aircraft with a capacity of approximately 180 passengers. And that aircraft will give us the ability to open up new destinations that haven't typically been served because of the relatively low levels of demand, destinations that haven't been served particularly or connected to a hub such as Dublin. The Capital Markets Day that IG held 2 weeks ago, we expressed an ambition for that fleet to grow to 12 aircraft by the end of the 5-year planning projections, 2022. That gets us to a total of 24, a minimum of 24 aircraft flying the Atlantic every day. And we continue to challenge ourselves as to why we stopped there. Of course, if we're to be successful, we need to continue to deliver upon our promise of competitive cost, quality product and consistent service. And we also need the support of both the marketplace for our product and those partners whom we work with to provide infrastructure, to provide services. I'm convinced of the compelling nature of the opportunity for all of us, for the broader economy. I'm also convinced of the understanding of all parties of the opportunity, and I'm very hopeful that in the coming months and years that the appropriate plans and infrastructure to enable such developments will be forthcoming. So thank you again for your time and your support this morning, and we look forward to many more such occasions, and look forward to welcoming many of you on board the Seattle service starting as it does in May 2018. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have time for questions and answers.
Stephen, Owen Corey from Travel Extra. Do you see any opportunities for onward connections on the Seattle side, where you're talking to Alaska about a co-chair? And a second question is, you did say there should be no constraints. What constraints on further growth do you see at the moment?
It would be our ambition to have a strong partner in Seattle to offer particularly the Northern Pacific region. We know that Portland, for example, is a very important market with significant Irish community, and also then up into Vancouver. So it is there are opportunities, and we are pursuing them. In terms of infrastructure, listen, I think my position I've made clear, and I think our ambition is clear, but our understanding is also, I fully accept that none of us in this room in 2010 were expecting Dublin Airport to be congested and constrained. I do remember being at the opening of Terminal 2 and it being referred to as a white elephant. But I think the lesson of that investment needs to be absorbed. I do believe that proactive investment in enabling infrastructure is a good way for the state and for the DAA to be spending its scarce capital. Dublin Airport obviously needs more capacity. We believe it needs not just runway capacity, but it needs improvements in stand and taxiway infrastructure, as well as some level of terminal investment. It's an ecosystem. There are many component parts, and I think collectively and collaboratively we need to find ways to justify, not just from an Aer Lingus perspective, because we've made the decision, we've placed the orders, but also to assist the DAA in understanding our ambition and how they can reap a reward. Because I do believe, from an Ireland perspective, from an Ireland Inc. perspective, it's a compelling opportunity.
Stephen, does this mean then that there's been an outbreak of peace between Aer Lingus and DAA? Because your colleague your colleague's language on this issue was a lot stronger the last time, and you guys had a press conference.
My colleague has to deal with the consequences of the infrastructural constraints daily, and ultimately Mike and I are at one on this. We believe the best possible solution is where there's collaboration with all stakeholders, where there's cooperation, where we each individually build our business and businesses successfully. So we would rather have a collaborative approach. We look at the examples that Helsinki, where Finnair and the Helsinki Airport Authority have built a substantial hub connecting Europe and China. That's the ideal for us. And ultimately, one always has to raise the issue in the first instance and then find a solution. And we're working hard to find a solution. And I'm pleased to say we have a very good dialogue with the DAA team and with Dalton Phillips. And I'm sure that we will agree as to the level of opportunity. We may have some disagreement over how we're going to address the infrastructural constraints, but I am satisfied at this point that the nature of the constraint is recognised.
Have you met Dalton Phillips? What was that meeting like?
I've met him on a number of occasions, and it was, I would describe it as very positive. the DAA is an ambitious business. It's big business. These are significant capital investments. But Aer Lingus has made over $1 billion of proactive investment in fleet. So that's our confidence in the opportunity. And I think that confidence should assist others in making similar decisions in terms of investing their capital.
Sorry for coming in again, Stephen. We've heard a lot about the implications of the A321 and what that will do for your North American expansion. Will we see something similar happening with the wide body like we're seeing this morning on what's the story on the A350s? Are they still as much a priority as they were when the orders were first put in?
They're not. The A350 is a fine airplane, but the A330 is also a fine airplane and fit for purpose. The change in recent years since the A350 order has been primarily fuel. If fuel was 3 times the price it is today, then the economics of the A350 might look significantly different. But the A330 as a platform for us has proven to be very, very resilient. It offers excellent guest amenity and good economics. So we continue to build that fleet, but the transformational change from a fleet perspective for Aer Lingus is now the 321LR. To have an aircraft with 180 seats to complement an aircraft with 320 seats with broadly the same economic performance to the East Coast is a terrific enabler, and it's something that we're looking forward to leverage in 2019 when we have 4 aircraft arriving.
The aircraft you're using on this route, where is it coming from?
We have an aircraft currently in manufacture in Toulouse, which delivers and will be in service in Q1, and we're looking to augment the fleet beyond and above what we presented to the capital markets 2 weeks ago. So there are some opportunistic deals to be done, and we're hoping to complete one of those in the coming weeks. So there may well be more beyond for to Seattle that we will be able to join in terms of additional frequencies in 2018. But at a very minimum, we have the new build, and I'm very confident that we can also source an additional unit in the aftermarket.
So there is a possibility of even another transatlantic route?
I think we'll invest in frequency owned, to be frank, and beyond that then in 2019 with the arrival of 4 A321LRs, then most definitely we're going to be looking at significantly more in terms of new routes and frequency. Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, Stephen.
Sorry, Barry.
So, in terms of what you told the capital markets 2 weeks ago, you were saying that you're adding to that. Can you tell us what you told the capital markets?
I can, and it's IAG website will faithfully represent what I told the capital markets. What we did say is that our fleet for 2018 would comprise of a fleet of 12 A330s and 4 757s. We did have a little bullet at the bottom, which you'll be familiar with how these things work, that opportunistic transactions for 2018 will be reviewed. And this is so the launch of Seattle is independent of the additional aircraft, but we are let's just say we have approvals if we can source the right aircraft.
And you're talking an A330 or something?
Talking an A330, and that's that's an important clarification, because we continue to see not just opportunities from the A321LR, but we continue to see opportunities to grow what would be considered the traditional legacy wide-body fleet. And at the same time, obviously, all of this growth across the Atlantic is also enabling us to also grow our European short-haul operations. So, while Seattle gets the announcement today, we continue to grow the A320 fleet at Dublin, for example. So we have growth across the piece, and we continue to challenge, given our levels of performance, how much more we should and can accelerate that growth platform.
How's pilot recruitment going? You started, what was it, last month?
We did. We had, I believe, over 3,000 applicants. We also have cadet program. So we offer effectively scholarships to train. So we have, in combination with that cadet program, we have access obviously to the market for recruitment, and obviously Aer Lingus is considered an employer of choice. So we, at this point in time, have had little difficulty in attracting applications, and the failures of some of the airlines, particularly in the UK, has created opportunity, and at this point we have had some ex-Monarch pilots, for example, accept employment opportunities in Aer Lingus. So it's something obviously we have to manage, but we're comfortable that we can resource, from a crewing perspective, the ambition that we presented here today.
You had applications for pilots from any other Irish airlines?
I think there's a healthy market for pilots, and that's always been the case. There's nothing peculiar in the last number of weeks that's changed that dynamic. Okay, once again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.